Okay, it's been streamed live. Got it. Okay, we've got 4 minutes. So I'm just going to wait for 8 o'clock and then we can come on. Okay. Streaming live on Facebook. We could just let people in, man. Let them in now. Admit, admit, admit. Okay, we can come on, Kwame.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Got it. Okay. Can you hear me?
I can hear you and I can see you.
Oh my God. Time to hide.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Courtney. We can't see you, but we can hear you. There we go.
Where is it?
Hello.
See, this is just, everybody's turning up early. Look, man, what's 5 minutes before?
I know, but we're streaming. It's going out live at the moment because, you know, it takes a bit of time for it to connect. So we could just, it's still going out live, but, you know, people are just feeding into the great energy and the goodness that's on this page at this moment in time, and preparing yourselves. Gerald Alston said he's going to be on maybe for a bit shorter than he normally would have wanted because something's cropped up. And then the gentleman from Rough Ends, they should be on, but you know, as they say, the show must go on, isn't it? So yes, brilliant. And it's nice because you're all in different parts of the world as well, which is fantastic. You know, this international cohort led by a woman.
And we can all bring our own rough ends to this conversation. Okay, if you haven't worked it out, I'm the foolish one, okay? So let's just get that out of the way. So all of you can relax now.
Nice to meet you, EJ. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, EJ. And the thing is, we need laughter.
Yes.
We need that as well. You know, it's a serious topic, but we need laughter as well because that's part of the healing.
Absolutely.
That's
right.
Absolutely. You know, so
that's right. Nice to meet you,
nice to be on this platform. Nice to meet you. Kwame, my brother.
Nice to meet you, Courtney.
Hold on, Courtney. Hold on.
I'm good, you know.
How is well?
Yeah, always, my friend.
Yeah, man.
Right, so we're going to start in a few moments, gentlemen. Let me just send this.
Not too high.
There we go. Right, so I'm just going to do an introduction, and then when the other gentlemen come on, then we'll keep rolling out. But I'm going to start. So I'm just going to start with my On the Sofa with Esther sort of tribute, where I say good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are across the globe. Welcome to On the Sofa with yours truly, Esther Austin. And today we are going to be talking about men supporting men. And I've got some incredible men in my presence today. And I know and I hope that the information that they share with you, the knowledge, the wisdom, is going to propel you and take you into the new year. And if you ever want to reach out to any of them, that would be great. So Antony Lyken's trying to get on. And we've got, I think this is Dante Chi. Dante Chi from Rough Ends on.
Rough Ends.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So as I was saying, this conversation is about encouraging. This conversation is about inspiring. This conversation is about motivating. And these gentlemen, these are some of the most authentic men that I know. And that's why I've invited them onto this platform, because we need authenticity now, because authenticity is what's going to take us, all of us, not just men, to the next level in our lives. And when we can look at the man in the mirror, it gets easier. I'm not saying it's easy, but it gets easier, if that makes sense. So as we wait for others to join us, I'm going to go around the room. And we're all here from different parts of the world, which is incredible. So to my top left? Is my left, or is it your right, Kwame?
Oh, I'm bottom right.
Or your bottom right, but here your top left.
I'm bottom right. What do you want me to say?
Okay, so just introduce yourself. Yeah, because what I've put you down is, I mean, you are many things, but you're also the author of My Date with Depression, which is a very powerful book. So take it, just share a little bit about yourself, share a little bit about the book.
All righty, wonderful. Well, thank you for Esther, for this opportunity, to be amongst revered and esteemed other men, other Black men, and I mean, where we can be in a space where we can talk, and help other men to be able to understand and be able to open up and talk for themselves. So my name is Kwame McPherson. I'm a writer. Essentially, I write various things, blogs, books, help other people write their books, articles, that kind of stuff. So I'm a book coach. I'm also an author in my own right, as Esther has shared, that I've written my last book, has been My Date with Depression, From Mental Uncertainty to Self-Fulfillment. And basically it was about my journey, mapping how I experienced being in that space, and how I actually, with the help of others, was able to transition it and to come out of it eventually. And I've had a number of talks. My good friend Coutrney was also here. We've done a number of talks with men in terms of helping them to share and to come to terms with the journey that they're on, and to be better men in that regard, a better Black man, I should emphasize. So that's also a snippet of me in this space. Brilliant. And I want to say to you again, Esther, thank you for being a part of all of this.
Brilliant. And I'd just like to introduce.
And I'm in Jamaica.
And he's in Jamaica.
I'm in Jamaica. I'm the one in Jamaica.
Brilliant. And I'd also just like to introduce into the space David Chance from Rough Ends. Thank you so much for coming, David, and showing up. And we're going to be talking to you about someone else. We're going to be talking to yourself and Dante, and also to Gerald Alston, the legend Gerald Alston. He is in the room as well. And we're going to be talking about the power of music. Because I know for Rough Ends, they brought out their latest album, Rebirth. And Rebirth is very much, here's Dante. Hello, Dante. Thank you so much for showing up. Their latest album is Rebirth, and it was interesting because that album was talking about one's emotions and the roller coaster of emotions. So thank you, gentlemen. So the next one I'd like to introduce is the gentleman in the hat, in the purple hat. Is it purple? Who's that? Yeah, okay, the one with the goat beard then, okay? The one with the goat beard, the white.
This is a platinum beard. I know people like to say that, it's white and it's platinum, okay? Just let's not get that twisted.
Oh, whatever. Let's not go there now. Let's not go. We're just starting.
We're gonna frame it right. That's how it's gonna start today. Okay, so my name is EJ Soul Guide. I'm an intuitive. I do readings and stuff. I created my own. I'm an author of a deck of cards called the Animal Spirit Guide cards, where animal spirit guides demonstrate themselves in our personalities and our behaviors. Examples such as, and we use it in our everyday life in descriptions, such as scaredy cat, you're like a bull in a china shop. All these are kind of informed behaviors that we have that gives me a clue into what is causing disruptions, confusions, and troubles inside of your lives. For example, you have 7 animal spirit guides as an energy, and we have a maximum of 7. Anything beyond that, you're going into SEN territory and mental health and depression. But let's assume, for example, you had the animal spirit guide of an owl and a mouse. A mouse is intelligent and very clever. Owls are very wise, but the individual will always self-sabotage. And the reason being is that the mouse, the owl is the prey of the mouse. So therefore, it's an indication of how people will self-sabotage. I'm in London. I'm also a hypnotherapist. So
Don't look into his eyes. Don't look into his eyes, because you can already see where he's going.
You can't see them, actually. That's why I got the hat. Okay, I'm protecting you all. No, I was kidding.
Yeah,
so,
you still have your wicked days.
yeah, so I'm a hypnotherapist, and I use my skill sets of working with human behavior into getting people to understand how they do what they do, as opposed to why they do what they do. The why question, in my view, creates more content. Content creates stories. People will always embellish their stories depending on who they're talking to, which is wonderful because it's entertaining. However, when it comes to resolving challenges, what was the first thing that had to happen in order for you to do X or Y? And that's where the juice is. That's where the root causes are. And that's what I like to focus on whenever anyone brings a presentation in front of me.
Excellent.
London, and that's me in a nutshell.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So we've all got something really powerful to bring to the table and to this conversation today. And this isn't just going to be a one-off conversation. I want this to be a monthly rollout. May not be with the same people, but with just, building out on the conversation. And also what's really important is knowing, for people to know that there are places to go to. There are places to go to. So next we have, who we got? Coutrney Brown, from Father to Father, a very powerful young man. I've only just met him, but he's very powerful. If you know about his story, he's got a documentary, that will be coming out. And he tells about his life story. And it's because of his life story and if I may say, the trauma that he experienced, that's why he's doing what he's doing now. So Coutrney, just introduce yourself, where you're from, and gives us a snippet of this incredible documentary.
Thank you, Esther. And once again, I'd just like to reiterate what Kwame said. It's an honor to be on this platform with awesome Black men. And I like to use the terminology VAT, with Black men that are willing to be vulnerable, authentic, and transparent. Vulnerable, authentic, and transparent. So before I go into that, my name is Coutrney Brown. I'm the CEO and founder of an organization in London, but I'm in the Bahamas at the moment. But I run an organization I run an organization in London, and actually I've got a hub in Uganda as well called Father to Father. Father to Father is a social enterprise. So we focus on mental health. We focus on adverse childhood experiences. So that could be mental health, domestic abuse, undiagnosed learning needs, all of those things. As you said, Esther, the reason I got into all of this was my journey, and Kwame knows my family very well in Tottenham, London. Father to Father, I'm a person that lived with a father that had mental health, and how it impacted me as a child to then growing up, becoming a young man, and how I had to deal with the stigma, around mental health. And actually, let me be honest here, and be authentic and transparent. Shame that my dad had mental health, hiding it from a community, especially where I lived in a community where my dad ran the area, and Kwame can validate that. So he was the top man, he ran, it was the bad man. So I had to live, I had a lot of pressure on me, which I put on myself, to be honest with you, as a young person. So grew up in London, a very angry young Black boy, Black man. And then at the age of 21, had my own depression, which was triggered by my first son. So my first son is now 32, when his mum left me. And then all of that playing out because I didn't win my life. I wanted the whole family, because my dad wasn't in the household with me. So to see my first son's mum leave me, it triggered me with depression for a year and a half. So I won't go into it so much, but that's me. That's what Father does. We work in schools, we work in communities, we work with the local government, with the government in England as well, to look at mental health. I'm also the trustee of Mind in Haringey, which is the big mental health charity in London. I'm a trustee there. And I'm also the co-founder of an organization, a CIC, called Open Minds Alliance. And what Open Minds Alliance does, it brings African Caribbean organizations. First of all, it brings them together yeah, because it's not one organization can't do this, but it has to be African Caribbean. So it's all about cultural competence, and we raise awareness of those organizations by bringing together, so our community then know where we can signpost and get that authentic, cultural competent solution in place in regards to mental health within our community. And like I said, I've just opened up a hub in Uganda as well, where we're looking to do the same thing, because mental health in Uganda is big, Africa is big as well. But again, it's it's not about going over there and saying, here we are, we're the saviors. No, it's about understanding their culture, their journeys, and what can we bring to them, as well as them educating us.
Excellent.
So that's really cool.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you for that. And it's interesting. It'd be interesting to understand the dynamics between yourselves who are in the United States, Gerald, David, and Dante, and the gentleman in London and in Jamaica and from the different parts of the world. So what I'm going to do now, Antony Lyken. Hello, Antony, Coach Antony.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing? I'm sorry to be late.
That's okay. I just wanted to introduce you onto the platform because I've introduced the other gentlemen. So thank you. I'll come to you in a minute. But Gerald, I know, Gerald, you might have time might be a bit of a constraint for you. So what I've asked you onto the platform, Gerald, is you're a legend in the music industry. You know, so got to do that, you know. But also your music, the music that you've produced, that you've sang for so many years, it's about love, it's about unity, it's about, there's something about the energy of the music that you do and that you are, that I'm sure has touched so many lives. So from yourself as an artist, but also as Gerald Alston, how do you think music helps, supports people with mental health, depression, you know, challenges?
Yeah, you know, music, I was, when I studied music in school, and I had a music teacher that she told me, she said, music soothes the savage beast. And and what I learned from that, and when I started singing, is that people look at you as an artist, that they really think you live that way when really you don't. But what I did get out of the whole thing was that I've learned to write songs about life that people can identify with. And when people can identify with what you are singing about, falling in love, falling out of love, making love, cheating, all of it is a reality. And when you sing honestly about it, people can identify with it, and they can find themselves a lot of times. You know, I had a young lady approach me in Birmingham, Alabama, and her father, this blew me away. Her father was in the hospital on his dying bed, and she went to see him earlier that evening, and she said she knew that he loved the Manhattans, and she told her father, "Well, I'm not going to see the Manhattans. I'm going to stay here with you." And his words to her was, "You go see them. I'll be fine." And in fact, that was a first time actually seeing us. He said, "You won't regret it. Go see them. Don't worry about me. I am fine." And he passed while she was at the concert. But she came back. I talked to her later on, or the next time that I went back to Birmingham, and she was telling me how thankful she was that her father encouraged her to come, because it helped her through the songs and the feelings and everything that we projected. It helped her to deal with her father's death. And she saw a side of us that was human, because she was able to come back, shake hands, talk, take pictures, you know. And I think I've listened to all the gentlemen speak, and what I've gathered from everybody is that you got to be honest with yourself. You got to be true to your fans, and this is what I can go on. I have to be true to my fans. I cannot be a diva to my fans. My fans aren't doing me a favor by, I'm not doing my fans a favor by performing. They're doing me a favor by coming to see me perform. So I keep that humbleness with me, and I've learned to, through God's grace, the things that happened to my life, in my life that wasn't the best, that sometimes were trials and tribulations. It took a long time, but I've learned to ask God to show me what it is that I need to get from this, what it is that I need to learn, and not get on the pity pot. Oh, me, I'm so bad, you know. And I'm going to be straight up honest with everybody. 30 years ago, I was a coke addict, and I came to grips where I got help. My mother, my father, and my dear wife, and Almighty God pulled me through. And you know, what I said after I became clean, not 30 years later, but after I began to stay clean each year, I asked God, show me what it is that I need to learn from what I've been through. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to do it again. I don't want to do it again, but I want to be able to speak or do what you want me to do. And through his words and wisdom to me is to share it with the kids, the young upcoming young men and women, so that they'll know that they don't have to go through that. And in South Africa, I did an interview on national TV, and we were talking about that. And it was so, everything was just, timing was perfect. And we were talking to young people about not doing drugs, not being in, you know, gangsters, doing the things that are negative in their lives. And he asked us, well, you speak about drugs and alcohol, how many of you? And that particular day was my birthday of being clean, 17 years.
Oh, wow.
And it just came out, you know. I didn't want to hide it. I wanted the people to know. So if we could save one kid, one young lady, one young man, that would be that's what he wanted me to do, you know. And I share it, and I'll tell, just like I tell you, if you never did it, you don't have to do it. I've done it enough for everybody on this Zoom and some more. And I thank God for my health, my mental ability. He's blessed me to continue to sing and to be successful. And I'm thankful. I'm very thankful. And thank you guys for saying because I got a little piece from each one of you as you were talking. I got a little piece from each one of you. Believe it. I got a little piece for you, Gerald. Honest with yourself. Be transparent with yourself.
Gerald Alston, the man.
This is the gentleman, Gerald, that I was telling you about.
Alston, the man. Gerald Alston, you're the man. You're the man.
You are the man.
I tell you what, Gerald, 1972, kiss and say goodbye. Mm-hmm. I was a little boy growing up, abandoned by my mom, beaten up by my family. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to sing so badly. And it was you, Teddy Pendergrass, Isaac Haynes, Barry White. You were the people I was listening to when my friends were listening to something else. I got so much from your music, man. Dirty dishes in the sink.
Yeah.
Oh, man, Gerald. But coming from an abandoned mom, living on the streets, homeless, got into the Army. I didn't do drugs. I just did women. Women was my drugs. Because when you got a mom who leave you as a little boy, and when you've been burned up as a kid and been abused as a kid, and they used to tell me when I tried to sing like you, Gerald, I used to get into the mirror and I used to be saying, let's kiss and say goodbye. Mm-hmm. They used to tell me, they used to say, you ain't gonna be nothing. You will never, ever gonna make it. You will never gonna make it. And through the years, Joe, I got all your albums, Teddy P, and I listened to your music. And like you said, you were real, man. You're real. And Esther, I really thank you this is a dream come true. When I saw you hook up with one of my friend Mel Holden from New York.
Yeah.
Me and Mel go to the same church, CCC in Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah.
And when I saw you hook up with him, I told Mel, I said, tell you hi, man, because I've been one of your #1 fans.
Thank you.
I try to sing like you till this day.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God that God has brought you through me. God has brought me through a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And Esther know I lived in London. And one of my things, I started an academy for young boys because I was that child that they always say I was bad. My grandmother used to say, if you did it, I'm gonna beat you. And if you didn't do it, I still gonna beat you.
Where'd you go
I
back?
got my ass whooped. And they will beat the living daylight out of me. They tell me, you can't sing. You cannot sing. My word to young men today, let no one tell you that you cannot. God has purposed you on this earth. You're not here by accident. You're here by God's design.
Amen.
So you're called to be. And Gerald, you're called to be in this time. You'll never forget God. You'll never forget your humble beginnings.
Amen.
And today, with men, which is 5 or 6 times more than their female counterparts taking their own lives, men need help. Men can cry.
Yes.
Men can cry. We were told that we're not supposed to cry. The image we saw, the Hollywood image, we were told that we were not supposed to cry. We were supposed to be hard. And men has been destroyed, emasculated, especially Black men. We've been emasculated. It's been taken away from us. Our women don't even understand us. We don't even understand them. So for me, my sense of purpose is for every man that I reach in my life, we could be naked and not ashamed.
Powerful.
It's funny because the thing about being a Black man is that we have kind of like 2 things we have to deal with. Being a Black man and being a man, they're not necessarily the same thing. Because as men, we may want different things. As Black men, we are meant to engage in other things, right? And when you said the Black women don't understand us and we don't understand them, I used to go to these events where this was supposed to be how we're to resolve our problems. And one half of the room is Black women, one half of the room is Black men. And what we then, after 15 minutes, it's a shouting match. And why is it a shouting match? Because individualized personal pain is being tossed from one end of the room to the other side of the room. And I'm saying to myself, well, hang on, is it possible that I can have a conversation with a Black woman about some flaws which she would not necessarily have to agree with, but can hear me? And she can say something about Black men that I might not necessarily agree with, but I can hear her. I can consider that there is something that she may identify that I haven't seen, and something I may have identified that she hadn't seen. Because as Black people, I'm sorry, we don't have time, in my view, to have the war of the sexes between each other. We got enough enemies. We got enough things we're dealing with. That if we're gonna try and find a way out of this quagmire, we've got to find a way that when I say something to a woman, a Black woman, that it is coming from a place of VAT? You know, it's coming from an authentic, loving place, so that we are actually coming from a space of healing. We're not coming from a space of, well, you know what, I'd rather be right than be happy. Right? And therefore, then what do? We then go, okay, I mean, I've had people abuse me, in terms of what they said.
Yep.
And my view is, okay, so you're now expressing something to me. And especially if it's I put it this way, one of the things that really irked me, and it was quite recent, with Ngozi Fulani. when another Black woman comes, now, if anybody doesn't know what this is, this was Ngozi basically was in Buckingham Palace. She's
that story. Yeah.
Yes, she is a woman from the Caribbean with a Nigerian name. And she was in Buckingham Palace. She has an organization called Sister Space. Why does she have an organization called Sister Space? Because Black women were experiencing domestic violence in the UK and it wasn't taken seriously. Hence, we have solutions. She created Sister Space. Sister Space is designed, as far as I understand it, to take care of the needs of Black women who are going through domestic violence that are not being rescued from that situation. Okay, so she's invited to Buckingham Palace. One of a lady Hussey, Susan Hussey, she's asking Ngozi, where's she from? So she says, oh, I'm from Sister Space. No, where are you from? So she said, oh, I'm from, no, where are you really from? Now, people couldn't understand why that was an upsetting situation because the woman asked her 7 times. Cut a long story short, this is what irks me. When I call them cultural zombies, when other people who wear the same skin as us come on national television and abuse us. And a Black woman abusing another Black woman on national TV. I mean, to me, this is unacceptable.
But when you say, sorry, but when you say abusing, and I want to bring in these gentlemen, Dante and David, and another gentleman by the name of Kellyon. But this is interesting because we can really go far. But when you say abusing, I guess it depends on perception because I heard another story about that, about the lady that went to Buckingham Palace. But also, when you say abuse, if you could just identify what you mean by abusing, and then I want to bring in David and Dante.
So the abuse was, I'm with you, and I'll make this very brief. The abuse wasn't the one that she experienced in Buckingham Palace, because by the way, people were saying, well, I asked people in the taxi, where they're from. Why is that considered to be racist? What's wrong with that? Well, first of all, you don't just rock up into Buckingham Palace, right? You have to be invited, vetted, and it has to be relevant to what it is that you do. And this was about domestic violence for women, and that's why Ngozi was there. The abuse was on a TV channel, I think it was GB News, and they were running her down. Look at what she's wearing. Look at her hair.
Okay.
Where does she think she's from? Oh my God, she's from another planet. I don't know if she's from Nigeria. How did she get the name Ngozi? She's from Barbados. I mean, it was like, wow. This is what we're doing now.
But you have to understand, and I think, this is predominantly about men, but also women. I've come to realize also beyond color, culture, and all those things, it's also where has that person's soul evolved to? Where are they at within their emotional awareness and capability and capacity? And I think that's what's really important, because a lot of people, we're in this society now, as my friend Kwame calls it, the social media-itis. Everybody has to be on social media. Everybody wants to be, selfie. And there's no real connecting. There's no real awareness of something bigger than just having your face and being validated, always needing to be validated at all costs. And so a lot of people don't have that emotional awareness. I've got a friend who's written a book called Social Dating in an Unconscious World. So it's how conscious are we? Where are we at within our emotional intelligence? And I think that is key to this conversation, whether it's male or female, but it's where are they at? We're at within their conscious and emotional evolution.
Well, yes, but and a lot of this, I think that social engineering. I think I can't remember.
But 1 minute, EJ, I'll come back to you because I really need to bring in Dante and David into the conversation.
Sorry, Dante, David.
Because this, and like I said, I'm going to be doing these once a month because every time we have a conversation with each of you, it's opening up something else. And with these points, I really want to take these points out and really lock them down for the other conversations. So I'd like to introduce Dante and David onto the platform, otherwise known as Rough Ends, but they're Dante and David within their own right. And why I invited these gentlemen on is because They brought out their latest album is called Rebirth, and it's interesting because Rebirth is about the emotional ups and downs and authentically looking at that. And I thought it would really build in to this conversation as men, and yes, as Black men, but also as artists as well. And I'd like to ask both of you, you know, put the question to you that as men, as artists, putting together this, I would say, revealing album where you are actually talking about, you're not just thinking about love and everything, but you are talking about emotions and you're going deep with it. You know, why did you feel to do an album like that at this moment in time? And why be so revealing and so authentic as men?
Go ahead, Dante.
Can't hear you, Dante.
You're on mute.
Oh. There you go.
Yes. There we are.
It was needed. We are always students of music. We are always students of the craft. And one of the things that we found out early on was music that was purposeful and needed in the time was always like, it was, whether it was big or not, put it like that. You got artists that they're just thinking about what is needed in the marketplace. And they're trying to bring that to the marketplace because a lot of us, that's how we feel. That's our voice. That's how we, you know, we putting out 2 cents and making the world a better place and all this and that. But me and David and I always have conversations, like deep conversations since we were very young. And we lived in a neighborhood, well, a city, I would say, that averages like 350 murders a year. So there's a lot to talk about in that conversation. So one of the things I advocate about passionately into tears and all of that stuff on stage is mental health, because a lot of us write each other off. We write ourselves off. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's just how he is, such and such. Oh, that's just him, and all of these cover-ups, I call them. So when we got back together, one of the main things that we talked about that we agreed on is it got to be purposeful. It got to really stand for something, because we both at this point in our life, especially living up in a city and an industry that's really bombarded with a lot of hip hop and a lot of hip hop type of mentality. You know, not old school hip hop, you know, where they was talking about partying and beat hop, hippie to the, you know, they talk about something totally different. So in this day and age, it's like, who's still fighting the good fight with us? You know, we got to be the change that we want in the industry. So for instance, like the song Congratulations, most songs in the industry, when they talk about things not working out between two people, it's called a breakup. They break up. Breakup is a negative thing whenever you hear it. You know, the lamp broke, somebody broke down, you know, it's car broke, you know, it's usually something negative. So we wanted to kind of be a part of the change, and we did a separation song. We wanted to show people there's a difference between breaking up and separating. When you separate, that's like grown man, that's grown woman. So we figured, like, you know, Mr. Albright was talking, Mr. Gerald was talking about, and a few other people, certain things that influence you. You hear them and you can't help to be influenced by them. And we know music is a big part of that conversation. So we had to be purposeful to say, you know what? We're going to make this song about, listen, you ain't no skis or no hoe. I ain't no dirty N-word and all of this, because we ain't get along, because the story ain't what we thought it was. So let's make a song for the people that say, look, we still cool, or we just decided that it wasn't gonna work out. She didn't throw my clothes out and key my car and all of that. We just understood, listen, we're not for each other. This is not the situation for us. So we need to stop arguing and beefing and doing whatever we doing that's just not pleasant. It's just not becoming a man or a woman. You feel what I'm saying? So that's why we felt like it was so important to do this project. We felt like it was so important to get back together to fight the good fight. And, you know, we know people are influenced by music, you know, just as well as they listen to a Biggie record on their way to go commit a crime. You know, they can listen to a Rough In song when they're about to call that girl and be like, listen, we got to have a talk. You know, that's an honor to have an intelligent talk and show some real emotional maturity. I speak about emotional maturity a lot, but so not to go off too much. Go ahead, Dave. I ain't want to take you off.
Brilliant. And David?
Awesome conversation, man. Shout out to everybody on the line. Shout out to the legend, Gerald, in the building. Gerald, huge. You're a legend. I'm giving you your flowers now, brother. Man, we appreciate you, man. I know you don't know who we are, but we know who you are, and we got
That's cool.
Baltimore, and we got you.
We got you.
Indeed, man. So yeah, I don't even know where to begin. There was so much going on. My brother with the purple hat, my brother, you know, he got the fedora on, you know what I mean? I had to go get my brother. You know, but I mean, everybody had so many good things, brother. I'm just blessed to be on a call where I see brothers speaking positive, talking about change, you know, so people with vision, people with intelligence, people that have worked on themselves, and unity. And to pick up where Dante was speaking on about the song, that song, Congratulations, was actually birthed out or influenced by what we were seeing going on in the world. Like a lot of the killings and the Freddie Gray, because Freddie Gray happened right in our backyard, you know what I mean? So from seeing all of that kind of tension, you know, with our own people, you know what I mean? We can no longer decide to make music that tear down our community anymore, you know, in that moment. So even though how we wrote a broke up song, you know, we just said, we looked at the broke up song different, you know, because usually when we do a breakup song, it's like, girl, you ain't no good. You know, we about to go there. So, but this time from everything that was going on, it just was like a different perspective. And we definitely made up in our mind to really have purpose behind our music and make sure that our music definitely uplifts, encourages, and inspires, you know, our people, man, because we need it more than ever. So
when purpose is unknown, abuse become inevitable. And the lack of purpose, when you look at Gerald Alston music and the Teddy Pendergrass music back in the days, they weren't cussing women out. They weren't calling women bitches and hoes. You know how many babies were born in those songs? Somebody, the powers that be, come and take it and said, you know what? We know how we can separate you. We know how we can make you kill each other. We just going to let you just put this kind of music out there.
Right.
And I'm saying that if every one of us to turn our radios off, turn that music down, don't even want to listen to it, that music can't survive. They can't survive. And I'm proud of you guys who are making something that is positive. Something that's positive that can bring back love. You know, one of the things I want to put out there is that someone cannot submit to something that they don't respect. A woman can't submit to a man when she look at her father and she see how her father has destroyed her mom. She can't respect that. So when it comes to her not meeting another man, it's hard for us to listen to what we got to say. We're supposed to be teaching our women. We're supposed to be leaders. We're supposed to be working together. We're born equal, but we have separate functions. And we're supposed to be teaching our women, and we're supposed to be learning from each other. But the reason why we're struggling is because we cannot submit to what we don't respect. If a woman don't respect her father, she's going to struggle to respect her man, because that's all she saw. That first man who's supposed to be that first love in her life. You
See,
see what
now
I'm
you,
saying? So there's so much got to learn. Education, you know, so much. And my brother, you put it this way: emotional maturity. You know, you can't sow seed on grounds that is not fertile. It ain't gonna bear nothing. You got to sow seeds into hearts that is ready to take that seed, germinate that seed, and grow that seed into an experience.
that goes back to what my brother in the fedora was saying, man. My man, what's your name again? EJ?
EJ.
Yeah. I mean, when you, it really, it goes back to what you were saying. I think mentally as people, we need the lens that we are seeing the world is been damaged, and it's coming from years of damage. Black people around the globe has been hurt, yo. We've been hurt for centuries, and our children's has got that. We've been scattered. Like I know what it is to be in a family. We love each other, but we are very argumentative. You know what I mean? Like we can argue, but we still love each other. That's how my family is. You know what I'm talking about? But actually part of that is dysfunctional. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, as people, as a whole, I see that that's how we are. We are with each other. We are like that. And we need somebody to sit us down. We need to all log in on social media at the same time. Everybody, Black people at one time, and get some at one daggone time to really get our minds out of where, because listen, coming from the hood, we come from Baltimore. The hood has been designed for us to be like that. You follow me? That was intentional. But you have Black people proud of the thug. We repping the hood. We proud, you understand? Yo, if we understand. So we need a mental lobotomy with these conversations. Most of the generation that is like right now, and even people that are my age are still caught up in those mindsets that are leading to, and self-destructive, outcomes. So,
but there's a gentleman here. Sorry, there's a gentleman here, Kellyon. He came through Kaz, so I'll let you stay on the platform, Kellyon. Thank you so much for. So we'd like to hear.
Hello, Kings, and I must give grace to the Queen. Thank you, Esther.
Thank you.
Hi guys. Good. I'm from London, Harrow. I'm sure you can hear the accent. It's nice to hear a mix of accents, I'm
in London, but I ain't got no accent.
Hey.
You still got your American accent. You're a giveaway.
I got you. As many of you know, we've been hearing for many years, especially with our community, things should be this way, things should be that way, as our brother was saying just now. And that is correct. Things should be a certain way. And I think sometimes, it's like a rotation that keeps them going around. And we're wondering when we're going to deal with this thing that should be the way how it's supposed to be. And I think sometimes it is down to also having the right conversations, really targeting on what the real problem is. And we know with regards to history, for instance, let's say like the Germans, they would use propaganda. That's to actually control people's minds, and we've seen the Americans do it. If it's the CIA, as the FBI controls people's minds. Second wave of feminism definitely controlled the women then, and obviously our women, which is unfortunately we're now seeing we're seeing the outcomes now. Okay? Right? We are seeing these things that that saying, divide and conquer, these people know how to divide us and conquer us. And it tends to be these tactics or distractions. And I think if we can key on those things, if we can target on those things, we will see the changes, because these things are our enemies.
We have to be the change.
Right.
We have to be, and hold that thought, because there's something that you've said there that is so key, because you said that, it's almost like we always are giving away our power. So this discussion now, and I feel that's why I want to go to Coutrney, if I may. I'll come back to you, Kellyon, because you said some really powerful things there, young man, and thank you for coming on. Coutrney has a program that he runs, because we've had these discussions, but for me, it's always about what is the solution. It doesn't, we could have come from this. What is the solution? There's always got to be a solution.
Because we can.
So when I was at school, I heard the same thing time and time again, and people get vexed with me sometimes. I'm like, okay, I get you, I can empathize with you. So, but what can we do to move forward? And lots of times people don't want to move forward. Maybe they don't know how to move forward. They might not have the tools, but we have to now give ourselves the chance to move forward. We don't always need to be on the bottom, but we have to have the tools. As Coutrney, I've spoken to Coutrney, it's about having the tools and having the mindset. And I'm not saying that journey is going to be easy, because even as my life as a female, I'm not going to go in there too much, but you think it's been easy for me, it's been hard, but I've become like a Rottweiler, and I'm doing what I need to do to elevate myself, my consciousness, so that I'm not singing the same tune all the time. And I've got a cohort of about 4 people who I trust implicitly, who can sometimes rein in my Sagittarian pitbullness and say, Esther, no, and I'm open to that. Coutrney.
First of all, I just want to thank you, Gerald, for tapping into for me, and I say for me, what is the greatest thing, the purpose, and that's the Father Almighty God. That's why my thing is called Father to Father, because he's my higher purpose, and I follow his word and his wisdom, and then for me, I literally hear that I'm a physical representation of him in heaven, but I'm on earth. Father to Father. So that's the first thing I want to honor. The second thing I want to talk about is the power. I've got my book here, and every day I journal, and it says, enhance your power. Because I realize that as much as I see what's happened around me, guess who has the solution? Me.
That's right.
The power's within me.
Right.
And if I don't enhance that power, then what will happen? My children and my grandchildren will be living what I live. Right. So as much as I acknowledge the racism out there, as much as I acknowledge the journey, guess what? Right. I've seen men who are on here, Gerald, and men who are on here, who have achieved greatness even in that.
That's right.
And so Antony, this gentleman here.
And everybody here has achieved that. So what are we sending to our children? So that's why I said, as much as I hear about, listen, I was a promoter. So music, rough end, 1990. Listen, when my children's mum left me in 1991, it was the slow jams and that what helped me through. But guess what? I didn't deal with the real root cause inside me. So what that turned me into was a promoter. And when I went into that promoting thing, it was my coping strategy, but it became my vice. It became my vice because I never dealt with the real root cause in me. Exactly. So we have to be careful when we go into certain things. Make sure I've had to say, actually, if I'm doing that, music is my therapy, but make sure it's not my vice.
Exactly.
Gym is my therapy, but make sure it's not my vice. What am I dealing with? The root cause. What is the trauma that I'm holding that I have to deal with?
That's right.
Because if I don't deal with that, how can I train up my boys and my grandchildren? They're watching me.
Exactly.
Not all
and so that's why, and that's why I just wanted to add. And everybody has their own
story,
talents and gifts and story. But that's my story. That's why I created that. That's why I'm a producer of a film. I never knew I had that talent in me. But when I talked about my lived experience, so my 10-minute documentary is called Me, My Father, and Mental Health. So yes, I saw what my dad went through in the 1970s, coming over from Argos-town, Jamaica to Britain and dealing with that and how it impacted me. But then it got to a stage where I can't keep blaming my dad. Furthermore, I can't hold my dad accountable for something he didn't even know himself. That's why I had to forgive him. And then because of what I went through, I had to ask my sons for forgiveness. I then had to ask their mums for forgiveness. And they forgave me. But then it's my responsibility how I move forward with that and what do I pass down to the legacy. So I'm going to finish off on this. So the work that I've been doing, is that I understand not everybody's at that place. That's why the first I created something called Know Your Place. But place is an acronym. The P is be patient when you're dealing with people. Just because I've reached there doesn't mean they ain't reached there yet. So I have to be patient with them, let them go on their journey. The L is that I have to listen to them and their journey. Yeah, it's not about me projecting what's right. It's their journey. It's real to them. And in that listening, and then the A is that they have to be accountable to something. I can't be accountable to the past. I'm only accountable for my future.
That's right.
The C is compassion. Yeah. So that's the PLAC, and the E is be empathetic.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we do in our program, which is called Men Chat 2. So chat is that men, the C need to connect. The H, men need healing. Men need to be acknowledged. And the T, men need to talk. And that's the program we've created. So that's what I had to offer to it. I'm responsible. I understand the trauma, I understand the journey, but I'm responsible. The power is with me to change the future for my grandchildren and the future generations to come. The boys, the men, the women, the girls. So I just wanted to add that. Sorry, I'm really passionate about this.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Come on.
And we've got about 8 minutes left. And I mean, this is really expanding, because what I would like, what I'm hearing now is this leads on to your own individual stories and how you got to this place of acknowledging or recognizing that you needed healing, and what were the healing modalities that you chose to take you, because it's those incremental steps that have all put you here where you could speak powerfully. And as Kellyon, I pronounced your name correctly, sir, yeah?
Yes,
Kellyon?
yes.
Yeah,
yes.
And somebody else said they talk about becoming the change. We have to become the change. And with this supportive framework, you know, when someone can look up and see someone that's been there and done it and who is still championing through, you know, it may just take one person to say, you know, I can walk by your side. It just take one person. And so when you all share your individual experiences, and it's not easy, and I say that in everything, it's not easy, but it's possible. For you, and thank you, Gerald, for sharing about, I didn't know that, you know, you were on coke. That's something that I didn't know. And so thank you for sharing that. And you've all shared, I mean, I know Kwame, I know your story, and I know Antony. I know Antony's story. Anyway, but at least you can all sit here and say, okay, we've been through this. This is what we did, and this is what we're still doing, because we're constantly moving forward and evolving and understanding self. But hey, and it shows others that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And like I said, I've got about 6 minutes left. So Kellyon, if you'd like to, because I'm going to bring you back on next time. I'd love for you all to come back, and the next conversation would be about to share about how did you reach that crunch point when you thought it's time to change, or what do I need to do? And then what happened? That's got to be the next conversation. Yeah, so Kellyon, if you may.
Yeah, I was basically just touching on certain things that have happened throughout the decades that has brought us to this, because we need to do more of this as men. And it's great for Esther to actually give birth to something like this, where men can come together and share this way. And we're all coming from different age groups. You know, I mean, I'm 46. I know some of you guys look young as well, so black don't crack. Yeah, we know.
I'm 25. You know, I'm 20, you know, so that's great premature.
26.
You know what I mean? You know, melanin's good to us, you know. But and thankfully, we're very thankful for this, because we're going to be here forever. But someone's tried to stop us, and we're now trying to find out what these things are, and that's what this is about. And then we can go forward and bring some real resolve. But there's a lot more to talk about, but I'll just leave it there. But that's what I want to say, is that we're going to keep it young, keep it strong. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Kellyon. Thank you. Thank you. And Kwame, just hear a bit more from you, because your book, My Date with Depression, and this really feeds into the next conversation, because Kwame has been on an incredible journey, and he hit rock bottom. It's when he hit rock bottom, and he went I'll leave that. I'll give you a few minutes.
Yeah, which is, you know what I mean, I'm just being enthralled by the conversation and by the wisdom that's being shared. And Coutrney touched on it really, actually, and Gerald too, is that in regards to our journey, you know, there's things that we have inherited from our parents, which we then manifest, which I know I had that in my story, but which we'll talk about, I guess, next time around, Esther. But the thing is that as men, as Coutrney said, we have to take responsibility. You know, we have to take responsibility for where we are. We have to be accountable to ourselves in regards to the journey that we've been on. You know what I mean? But you do, and I guess, speaking personally, I realized that there were things that I was doing which were impacting other people. I didn't know what they were. And it's only when I started to look at my story, the journey that I've been on, I began to realize that I inherited stuff, and it goes way back. It goes way back. But coming to terms with those things and understanding what the triggers are for me to behave in particular ways. So it does take a lot of self-awareness and self-acknowledgement and embracing where one is at, where one has been. So in terms of my journey, I have been able to look at, and the help of others, and funny enough, good women around me actually saw the potential in me that I didn't see for myself. So I took all those things on board, and I was able to continue with my healing and to be able to tell my story in my book. And I've been able to share that with other men and so on and so forth. So I guess, like I said, the next time around we can go a bit deeper. But in terms of understanding oneself, it does. I guess they said that there's an option where there's pain or pleasure. You know what I mean? And for me, it had been a lot of pain, but I reveled in it. Then I didn't realize I was in pain until I saw the impact that it was having on people. I decided that I need to move to a place of pleasure and upliftment and helping others. And so that's where I'm at right now. But like I said, we can go a bit deeper next time, Esther, in terms of the reasoning. And but it's beautiful. It's a wonderful platform that we're all on, and that we can share and be authentic and real and transparent. Yeah.
Thank you. And it's interesting because you'll usually hear about her story, but the next one has to be his story. Because that was just coming to me. It's where you do share some of those pivotal moments. I'd like you all to share, one of those moments where you hit that place, and what did you do?
Yeah.
So we've got about 4 minutes left. So I'd like to hear from Antony, and then EJ, and then we'll sort of wrap this up. But yeah, so Antony.
One of the things I realized in my learning, I attended a very large ministry in Brooklyn, New York, now called CCC. And one thing I learned from one of the fathers of Christian Men Network, Dr. Ed Cole, he shared a principle. He said decisions are not made in a moment of time, but they're rooted in your character. And I had to begin to look at myself to see what is actually rooted in my character. Those things that make up the attributes of yourself, of your person. And I realized there was a lot of things in there that need to be rooted out. And some of those things has fostered deep roots. Suicide is one of the things. Criminal behavior is one of the things. Being arrogant and want to take people out is one of those things that are rooted inside of you. And you got to root them out. And to root them out, you got to find another man. You got to find another man. You see, for the most part, women are great, but a woman cannot teach a male how to be a man. It's just not in our characteristics to do so. It takes another man, another strong man who's been there to look at you eyeball to eyeball, naked, and said, you have to strip this stuff away. You got to strip this away. There's times when we can hide behind the skirts because, we're not mommy's boy, or we want to hide behind there. But a lot of men don't want to face another man.
Come on.
The only time men will talk about the football. They'll talk about the car they drive. They'll talk about the job.
Politics.
They'll talk about
politics.
all these accolades and how many women they had sex with. But when it comes to you undressing yourself and becoming naked before another man, it takes a lot of men to become naked before another man.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
And I know God isn't finished with me yet. I'm still have to undress something.
Amen.
Amen.
So to begin your healing, they gotta be an undresser. Remember, when Adam found himself naked, God said, "Who told you so?"
Yeah.
Who told you so? I didn't tell you were naked. You did something that caused you to now feel that there's a problem with your character. So, as Martin Luther King says, one day my children will grow up in a world where they'll not be judged by the color of skin, but by the contents of their character. I don't look at it as racism. I look at it as people who have flawed characters. And they don't, and it's rooted so deeply inside of them that they are so arrogant. They're so ignorant, meaning lack of knowledge. So they can look at my skin color and wants to say something stupid about it just because they're ignorant. You know, but when I understand that I'm not here by accident, and I'm here by purpose, I got to find that purpose. And remember, gentlemen, not as the guy who was talking about the music, not all passion is purpose. Purpose is the reason behind the thing. Not all passion. So just because something is your passion, it means it's your purpose.
Correct. It has to
be defined. Purpose has to be defined. It has to be defined. And men has to stand up before other men, strip themselves, and said, "Bro, this is who I really is."
Brilliant. I'm gonna have to wind it right because this is incredible. I just want to just read something before I come to you, EJ. There's quite a few people watching on Facebook, and just to say thank you for sharing this platform. Our men brothers do need to tell their story, his story, as their journey will and can inspire others, and also allow us, their sisters, to understand their plight and their struggles. So thank you definitely for that. And like I said, time is, we're sort of 3 minutes over the time, but I just want to thank you for that, Antony. See, that's why I said this is a powerful platform, gentlemen. This is a powerful platform, and it's not a one-off conversation because something has been birthed here that I would love to continue, you know, and each month there will be a theme. And I'm not just going to do the theme because I will put the theme out to yourselves and see if you agree, but it has to be this theme, this continuum. And then you create this pathway where people, even if they don't want to, even if they listen to this, they can contact you outside of this. There are signposts, there are places for them to go to stop that spiral, so that these conversations, we're not going to keep going around with these conversations. There's got to be a point where we can say, I am the change that I want to see in the world. But like you said, it takes for this sort of cohort, because I'm tired of the same narrative I've been hearing since I was 16, and I keep saying, what is the solution? And I'm not always very popular for that. I don't really care, because what is the solution? Because I do a lot of healing work, and behind the scenes, I see so much pain, and it's almost like we've got to step up with our narrative, and having you guys to support them will do. So quickly, EJ, and then Dante and David, just your Banani and Gerald, and then we're going to be back next month.
Okay, I'll keep it quite brief. I think most of us, if not all of us, are products of pain. And, if I talk about myself personally, I've always described my discoveries as being put in a car with no steering wheel, strapped down by the seatbelt, no brakes, and just pushed over a hill. So wherever the car crashes, there's my learning. And then it moves away from there, goes down the hill again, and whenever it crashed,
I done another hill.
My next learning.
I done another hill.
And so, as you can imagine, I had no guidance, I had no GPS, I had absolutely nothing. And the thing is, the crashes were more painful every single time.
That's true. Yes, that's right. Yeah.
You just have to, you start to have to ask yourself, what am I missing? And you know what I was missing? Boundaries. Boundaries. You see, here's the thing, right? Boundaries and acceptance. I had to accept a lot of things about myself. Okay.
Yeah.
I think generally when we describe ourselves, we really want to say nice things. Oh, I'm understanding, I'm lovely, I'm friendly, you know, I'm a good person. But the work is done in your shadow. The shadow is where your trauma and your pain and your angst is kept, right? And that is a place to explore who you really are. Can you face that shadow in you and be absolutely honest about that? And here's the other thing for me. Look, if somebody has a particular type of behavior that is disagreeable to me, right? Can I accept that behavior without actually hating the individual? Can I actually say, well, look, I accept that that's who you are, but my boundaries refuse to allow you to be around me because it's not appropriate. You know, you can be rude, you could be a narcissist, you can give them all the titles that you like. And I would say with love, hey, you know, that's okay. You know, and I'm not making the judgment. If that's your demonstration of your behavior, that's okay. I accept that that's who you are, but it's not coming into my boundary. Now, once I started to be able to develop this skill, what started to happen was that I became more discerning about who I'm vulnerable in front of. You know, because it's okay to be vulnerable in front of men, but if that man you're being vulnerable in front of isn't emotionally intelligent enough to hold that space, there will be a learning there, but that's putting me back in the car without the steering wheel, with no brakes, going down another hill. So that's kind of my contribution. I think be authentic, yes, be accepting of who you are, and know your boundaries. The power of the word no. Look, if you're my friend, you have to respect my no's as much as you respect my yeses. If you can't do that, we actually have a problem. We have a problem. And that's how I will identify, because I could ask you for something, or you can ask me for something and I'll say no. And then I ask you for something, but if you're saying no to me because I said no to you, we got a problem.
Brilliant. And there's a lot of things from that I would like to unpick. And Gerald, in winding down.
Yes, you know, this whole conversation about all of us telling our story about journey. And in all of it, to the young people that may be listening, that look at what we've all expressed about ourselves and what we've done. And look where we are now. You don't have to go there. You can circumvent that and move forward in your own way. Be your own man. You know, my father wasn't a highly educated man, but my father had a PhD in common sense. And he taught me some wonderful things, you know. And I appreciate, I think, all of you, because today I've learned some more that I can add in my toolbox, you know, and I'm grateful to all of you. And I would love to be back on this platform again. If I have nothing to say, but just listen, because in my toolbox, I can always add some extra tools in my toolbox.
Absolutely.
That's okay. I got you on speed dial, Gerald. So I got you on speed dial, so you will be back on. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And thank you for your presence, Gerald.
And David.
Thank you, Gerald.
Just, you know, you're in finale.
I just want to say, I don't know if anyone on the call is familiar with Moorish science or Moorish Americans. It's really about our bloodline and our birthright before they started pushing slavery, and a lot of kids growing up thinking that's where our history started and all of that.
Right,
we actually taught and run everything to the world. We civilized the world. Yeah. It's like if I grew up knowing this, if I grew up with that in my mind as my fuel and my confidence, but I just wanted to use that to say, one of our first principles, we got 5 principles. The first principle is love. And even with my studies, talking to the brothers yesterday, because he got mad with another Moor, because whatever the case is, realizing that we still human. We human, we human first. We all having a human experience. He didn't really know how to deal with other men with love. See, because when a lot of us, it's a gray, funny, weird area. Is it something sexual? Do he mean something else? Like, you know, so it's like we latch on love to our brothers, and we are losing because of that. That's one of the places we're losing. So I just wanted to say, well, I got the people on this call, people that's watching, that I love and appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all wisdom. Thank you, sister, for having us on here, for uniting us together. I realized in my 45 years that nothing is coincidence. So I know that this moment in time for us right now is a pivotal moment. Everybody on this call is hearing something they need to hear or they need to say. So I just want to say, I want to give y'all roses and let y'all know I love and appreciate y'all being men that y'all are right now. You know what I'm saying? Not you 15 years ago when you was getting the high dog. The man you are right now. I love y'all for it. You know? So I wanted to say that.
Thank you. Well, I'd just like to wind this down in saying thank you to each and every one of you, because I know you've got very powerful stories. But beyond that, you can be the change you want to see in the world for yourself, but also for others. Because, you know, we don't live in silos. And sometimes we hear this narrative about, yes, we are individuals, but also energetically, we are connected. What I do, and, you know, sometimes you keep seeing all these posts, well, you know, don't care what anybody says, you know, be who you are. Yeah, you can be who you are, but still be mindful and aware of how you are impacted or how you can impact others around you. I think we're getting things a bit screwed sometimes. And it's about being real and like I said, you know, having people that you can be accountable to. So, you know, ladies and gents, and David, I'm just going to ask you to say your last piece, but we're going to do this once a month. Thank you for all those who are listening. This is also going to be on, I'm also going to put it out on YouTube as well. And we're going to keep these conversations going, because I know that you guys have some really powerful stuff further to say. So David, before we go, been around with everybody else.
Coutrney, man, we got to link up, brother. Herman, man.
Definitely.
Tide's coming.
Definitely.
I got new brothers on the line. EJ, we're all about that. Esther, love every last one of you. I'm giving you hugs. Y'all got family over here in Baltimore. And I appreciate all of the wisdom. Thank you for stand, and thank you for how you're impacting the world. And I appreciate everything. Amen. And that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. And I will, if it's okay, I will give you, give you all each other's details, and then let's this is the start of something, and we've got to be our responsible and accountable.
Global healing.
Yeah, man. Totally.
Thank you. Wishing you all a fantastic new year as well.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Herman, you're Antony. Do you want to be known as Herman or Antony? Antony, right. Okay, brilliant. Thank you.
Okay. Happy New Year, everyone.
New Year, folks.
Happy New Year. Bye-bye.
Blessings, divine peace to all.
Yes.